You again, I poured you the good one. Sit. No, don't tell me yet. You've got that look, the one you get when the case is your own. Usually you settle onto that stool, so pleased with yourself, untangling other people's knots, and you make me wait for the good part. Tonight your hands are still. You're not here to solve something. You're here because you couldn't. And it's a building, isn't it? I can always tell when it's a building. They hold things, buildings, longer than people do. Tell me, start with the part you're sure of. You're always sure of the numbers.
I count things, always have. Doors, windows, exits, the number of steps in a flight of stairs. It's the work. You do it long enough, you stop trusting what people tell you and start trusting what you can count. That habit is the only reason I noticed. The building had 5 floors. I counted them from outside before I signed the lease. 5 rows of windows, 5 balconies deep, a concrete box from the 1970s in Higashi Ikebukuro, the kind of danshi that Tokyo built by the thousands during the housing boom. Functional, ugly, solid. My apartment was on the 3rd floor, unit 305. The rent was absurdly low for the location, 30 minutes from Shinjuku, 10 from the station. I didn't ask why. That was my mistake. I always ask why. This time I wanted the cheap rent more than I wanted the answer. The staircase was external, open air, concrete, the kind that runs up the side of the building like a spine. No elevator. 5 floors, 5 landings, each with a door leading to the hallway of that floor. I walked past the 1st and 2nd floor landings every day. I walked past the 4th and 5th when I went to the rooftop to hang laundry. I knew every step, every crack in the concrete, every piece of graffiti scratched into the railing. 15 steps per flight. I knew that the way you know your own pulse. On my 3rd week, I walked past the 5th floor and kept going. I wasn't paying attention. I'd been grading papers on the rooftop and I was tired and I was counting steps out of habit, 15 per flight. And when I reached what I thought was the rooftop landing, there was another flight. I stopped, looked up. 15 more steps leading to a landing I'd never seen. A concrete platform, same construction as the others, same railing, same proportions, and a door. Same style as every other floor's door, heavy metal, painted the same faded green. I'd been to the rooftop 24 times. There was no 6th floor. I'd counted the windows, I'd counted the balconies. The building was 5 stories. This landing shouldn't exist. I assumed I'd miscounted. Tired, distracted, 1 flight short. I turned around and walked down, counted the doors. 5th floor, 501 through 510. 4th floor, 401 through 410. 3rd floor, my floor. I counted the flights, roof to 5, 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 flights from the roof to my apartment. I walked back up, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to the 6th landing. I hadn't miscounted. The door was closed, no window. I put my hand on it. The metal was cold, not the cold of evening air, but the cold of a door that hasn't been opened in a long time. An industrial cold, deep in the material. I tried the handle. It didn't move. Locked or rusted shut or held by something heavier than a lock. I went back down and looked at the building's floor plan, posted in a plastic frame in the ground floor entrance. 5 floors, no 6th. The staircase diagram showed 5 landings and a roof access. I went outside and counted windows again. 5 rows. 5 floors. I went back up the stairs. The 6th landing was there. The door was there. I asked my neighbor Tanaka-san, an elderly man in 304 who'd lived in the building for 30 years. I knocked on his door one evening and, after the usual pleasantries, asked if he'd ever noticed an extra landing on the staircase. His face did something complex. A tightening, then a deliberate relaxation, like someone forcing their expression back to neutral. I've watched a lot of faces do that across a lot of tables. It's the face of a man deciding how little he can get away with saying. The building has 5 floors, he said. I know, but above the 5th floor landing there's another. The building has 5 floors. Same words, same tone. The repetition wasn't emphasis, it was instruction. He was telling me what to say when someone asks, "Have you ever?" I don't go above 4. He looked at me steadily. The laundry dries fine on 4. He closed the door. Not rudely, firmly. the way you close a subject. I asked other residents over the following weeks. The woman in 502 said the building had 5 floors and changed the subject. The retirees in 201 pretended not to understand my Japanese, despite having chatted with me fluently the week before. The building manager didn't return my calls. Nobody acknowledged the 6th landing. Nobody denied it either. They simply declined to have the conversation. And in my experience, that's never nothing. People don't refuse to discuss what isn't there. I started going up every day, not to the 6th floor, I couldn't open the door, but to the landing. I'd stand there and put my hand on the metal and feel the cold and listen. The first week, I heard nothing. The door was a door, the landing was a landing. Concrete, railing, a ceiling that should have been the underside of the roof but wasn't. Above the 6th landing, the staircase ended. There was a ceiling, not the sky, a ceiling, as if the building had grown a floor and sealed itself over it. The second week, I heard something, faint through the door, not voices, movement, the sound of footsteps in a hallway. Slow, unhurried, evenly spaced, someone walking. The footsteps moved from left to right, paused, then returned right to left, pacing or patrolling. The third week, the footsteps stopped when I arrived, as if whatever was walking on the other side heard me on the landing and chose to be still. I pressed my ear to the door, cold metal against my skin. Silence. Then, from the other side, very close, the sound of another ear pressing against the door, a faint creak of weight leaning in, listening to me listening to it. I stepped back.
It leaned in, pressed its ear to the other side, just as you pressed yours. You understand what that means. That's not a haunting that wants to frighten you off. A thing that wanted you gone would have made a noise. This one held its breath. It was curious. It wanted to know you the way you wanted to know it. That's the worst kind, in my experience, the patient kind. Go on. You went back. You always go back.
The fourth week, I came to the landing at 3 a.m. I don't know why. I woke up and my feet took me there, the way feet find familiar paths. I was standing on the 6th landing before I was fully awake, in sweatpants and bare feet on cold concrete. The door was open, not ajar. Open, swung inward, revealing a hallway, the same hallway as every other floor. Linoleum floor, fluorescent lights, doors on both sides, but wrong. The fluorescents were the wrong color, warmer, more yellow, the kind of tubes they stopped manufacturing decades ago. The linoleum was a pattern I'd never seen in the building, a green and cream checkerboard that looked like the 1970s, nameplates on the doors. I stepped closer, still on the landing, and read the nearest one. Tanaka, Tanaka, my neighbor, 304. But this was the 6th floor, 604, if it existed. The next door, 603. Zato, Sato. I didn't know a Sato in the building. 602. Yamamoto. Yamamoto, unfamiliar. 601. Nakamura, Nakamura. The name meant nothing to me, but the style of the nameplates was old, not the modern plastic ones used on every other floor. These were wooden, hand-painted, the kind of thing you'd see in a building in the 1970s. When this building was new, the hallway stretched ahead. The lights hummed. The air coming through the door was warm, not heated warm, body warm. The temperature of an occupied space where someone was home. A door opened at the far end of the hall. 610. A figure stepped out. I couldn't see details. The hall was long and the light was wrong, but it was a person. Small, elderly, wearing something dark. They stepped into the hallway and stood there, facing me, not moving, not calling out. Just standing 50 feet away, in a hallway that shouldn't exist, on a floor the building doesn't have, looking at the stranger on the landing with his bare feet on the cold concrete. Another door opened. 608. Another figure. Same posture, same stillness. 605. Another. They stood in the hallway, evenly spaced, facing me. silent, patient, waiting for something I didn't understand. The air pressed against me, warm and close, carrying a smell I recognized but couldn't name: old tatami, old wood, old fabric. The smell of rooms that have been occupied for a very long time by people who don't leave. I stepped back. The figures didn't move. I turned and walked down the stairs. One flight, two, three. My door. I locked it and sat on my futon and stared at the wall until morning. At dawn, I went to the ground floor entrance, the floor plan in its plastic frame. 5 floors. I looked at it carefully. Every unit number, every name in the directory. 601 through 610 were not listed. Of course they weren't. But I ran my finger down the resident directory for the other floors, and I found names I recognized. 302, Sato, an elderly couple. They'd lived there in the 1980s, according to the faded registry. The current resident was someone else. 301, Yamamoto, a single man, registry dated 1978. Current resident, different. 310, Nakamura, a family of 4, registry dated 1975. Current resident, different. The names on the 6th floor were the names of people who had lived in the building decades ago, former residents, people who had moved away or died or simply disappeared from the records. Except they hadn't moved away, they were still here, 1 floor up from where they used to be, in a hallway the building shouldn't have, standing in their doorways at 3 a.m., looking at the staircase, waiting.
The old residents still here, 1 floor up from where they used to live. You see what the building did? It didn't lose them when they died or when they moved away. It kept them. It promoted them up 1 flight to the floor that isn't on any plan, where the lights never changed and the nameplates are still painted by hand. And your neighbor knew, 30 years he knew. Go on, tell me what Tanaka finally said. He was ready to, wasn't he? A man only guards a thing that long because he's aching to set it down.
I went to Tanaka-san's door, knocked. He opened it. He looked like he hadn't slept. Tanaka-san, the 6th floor. It's the old residents, the people who used to live here. He didn't deny it. He didn't close the door. He stood there looking at me with eyes that held 30 years of knowing something and not saying it. They don't leave, he said quietly. This building, it keeps them. When they die, when they move, it doesn't matter. They end up there, on the floor that doesn't exist. Why? I don't know why. I know it happened to my wife. She passed in 2019. I scattered her ashes at the temple, and one night I heard her footsteps above me, on the 6th floor, walking the way she walked. The slight drag of her left foot from the stroke. His eyes were wet. He wasn't crying. It was something beyond crying, the dry grief of a man who has heard his dead wife pacing the ceiling every night for years. I don't go above 4, he said again, because if I go to the 6th floor, I'll see her, and if I see her, I'll go in, and if I go in. He stopped. Has anyone gone in? I asked. Unit 209, an old man named Kudo. His wife had died the year before. He went up one night. The door was open. He went in. What happened? He didn't come back down. His apartment is empty now. His nameplate is on 609. I broke my lease 2 weeks later. The building manager, who I finally reached, processed the paperwork without asking why. He had the expression of someone who'd done it before, many times. I'm back in Mijiro now, staying with a friend, looking for a new place. I don't go back to Higashi Ikebukuro. I don't walk past the building, but I think about Tanaka-san, alone in 304, listening to his wife's footsteps through the ceiling every night. The slight drag of her left foot, back and forth, pacing the hallway of the floor that doesn't exist, waiting for him to come up. And I think about the fact that the building has 5 floors, that I counted them, that every record says 5, that the staircase diagram shows 5, but the concrete doesn't lie. The steps are there. The landing is there. The door is there. And behind the door, a hallway full of people who used to live in the building and never really left. The building has 5 floors, and one more for the ones who stay.
And one more for the ones who stay. That's the line that follows me out at closing. Not the floor. Every old building has a room it won't discuss. It's the man, Tanaka. 30 years in that concrete box, and now he lies awake beneath a hallway that isn't on any plan, listening to the drag of his wife's left foot. Back and forth, waiting for him to climb one flight too many. He won't go. Not tonight. But grief is patient, and so is she. One night he'll be tired, and his feet will find the familiar path, the way yours found this bar, and he'll be standing on that 6th landing before he's fully awake, and the door will be open, and he'll see her, and he'll go in. Because that's what love does, in the end. It climbs the stairs that shouldn't be there. You counted 5 floors, and you were right. The building has 5. The 6th isn't for the living. It's just where the building keeps the ones it can't bear to let go of. Finish your drink, and when you get home tonight, don't count the stairs. Some habits are better left at the door. I'll be here. I always am.